So this is, we'll call this Palachinta for Putin, take two on the Word Traction podcast network. I'll call it a network because that would be very Trumpian. I'm a guy sitting outside screaming at the, well, no, I don't scream, but talking to the world and trying to make some sense of it with some nice people, and I'm going to call it a network. So there, Palachinta, or in the plural, Palacsintak, are these absolutely delicious Hungarian, more crepe than pancake, but in that same, what do you call, Bellini neighborhood. And they put many different things into them, but I guess most most famously for non-Hungarian dopes like myself, they do a sort of a combo of cheese and jam, preserves, fruit purees, something to that, plum things and sweet things, and they're just absolutely delightful. And uh, and I get a lot of mileage out of thinking about them because Viktor Orban, the once and probably future leader of Hungary, has quite a tum tum, quite a belly on him. And I'm not fat shaming people. I'm not a skinny. I, it took me chemo and radiation to address proper weight loss myself, and that was over a year ago, and I've managed to put some of that back on. So that's all about me. But so these delicious, we'll call it pancakes that are famous in Hungary. We have equally famous today in Hungary is J.D. Vance, who remarkably, this is something that isn't done even in authoritarian states, because the authoritarian, him or herself, is generally about themselves and not other people. So you don't have, Putin's not flying into, I was going to say to Beijing, but of course they don't really have elections there. So why would he show up to tout Xi Jinping? Doesn't happen. But Victor needs some help. Victor has the first challenge in Hungary that he's faced really in 16 plus years, give or take. So J.D. Vance is there. Trump sent a letter a few weeks ago. And while JD was with Victor addressing a group of loyalists in an auditorium earlier today, Trump called in on speakerphone and said the predictable, wonderful things about we love Victor. He went dark and anti-immigrant, of course, because that sells well in Europe. And Trump was saying, you need to appreciate Victor because he kept Hungarians for Hungarians, and without saying kept the black ones out and kept the brown ones out. But of course, that's what he meant. Uh, yeah, so 2 day visit there for old JD, and he's going to do some Bible thumping, fundraising, chit chat, and try to get his man, really Putin's man, Viktor Orban, across the finish line. Because as of before JD landed, old Victor was behind more than 10 points again to Peter Magyar, his opponent. and that's been fluctuating between 10 to 15, let's call it. And as you know, Vladimir Putin has installed in a number of teams of what we'll call election specialists, but they're spies, and they are on the ground in Budapest and running all sorts of programs to try to get Victor to win the election, the election which he's trailing right now, because that influence Hungary itself. Putin couldn't give a shit about Hungary itself, the people of Hungary, at all. The fact that they were a former Soviet, call it satellite, but it's Victor's presence in the EU and NATO. The He can be Putin's thumbs down vote in in organizations where they work to build consensus. And the way that they're set up, they require consensus in a lot of cases to do really important things. And frequently, Putin has used Victor to say, for instance, when the EU is taking a hard line on Russia because they're, I don't know, killing Ukrainians, then Victor says, no, that's not fair. There are two sides to good people on both sides of the story, so we have to stay neutral as the EU, which is just him sucking up to Putin. But it's good to see our friend Vladimir has not lost his touch, and he sees Donald Trump losing his shit, losing his edge, declining, spiraling. And so Putin's like, well, if this JD guy, Putin knows, or I believe, or I hope, belief, Marco Rubio, I don't know that Putin could get Marco. Marco has dialed back on his anti-Soviet era rhetoric to please his boss. But if Marco were to become president, I don't know that he could be a wholly owned subsidiary of Putin Inc., like Trump is, and like Putin hopes Vance will be. I think that there's something in there in the wiring in Marco, because his parents coming from Cuba under the Castro regime, that was sort of a consequential learning for the Rubio family more broadly. And I think that even as he's been kind of denuded by Trump, as Trump has taken at least one of Rubio's testicles, that there's still something in him, namely one testicle, that I think they come in pairs, or they used to at least. That if it push came to shove, that Marco would say, Vladimir, I'll be your friend, but I'm not going to be your bitch. Excuse me, in a political sense. So JD's going to go all around and see people and say nice things in Hungary, try to get Orban the vote. That the election, the vote is happening on Sunday, coming right up, the 12th. The neat little, there's always a game when Putin's involved. So there was a bomb that was planted in or near a natural gas delivery facility, pipeline, way station, and in Serbia, but incredibly close to the Hungarian border. But that's, natural gas is very important. And for political purposes and otherwise, Orban has been pushing back at Ukraine and Zelensky, saying, oh, you're trying to mess with the Hungarian people's energy supply. And this is at Putin's direction. And then they discovered a bomb that was purportedly, if you listen to Orban, was placed by dissidents, Antifa, other people, Ukrainians, in order to disrupt the Hungarian election. Whether it was a real bomb, who actually put it there, it's theater, and he can use that. Orban can, and say to his people like, "Hey, I'm tough on crime. I'm the anti-terrorism candidate and the national security expert that is keeping you safe, my Hungarian people, keeping our energy supply safe, and I'm out there fighting for you, so I need your vote." He doesn't say, we're Team Putin, because that is a split loyalty. There are people in Hungary that are fans of Vladimir Putin, but there's, like Putin has done enough atrocious things in that part of the world that people are turned off. That would not be probably for it to, inure to the benefit of Mr. Orban. But what he can say with his friend, new friend JD Vance. JD's your boy. Trump's your boy. Trump called into the to that show that they had on and said lovely things, and he can imply that large amounts of money are going to be flowing into Ukraine, into Hungary. Ukraine's a complicating factor in the election and more generally in Hungary, because like so many countries that are struggling financially, the majority of the Hungarians don't want to write blank checks to Ukraine even to fight for democracy, because they just don't have the resources to do that. So it's not, he can't. Peter Magyar, for instance, the opposition candidate who is in the lead right now, can't say, "I'm the Ukraine candidate." He has to be a lot more subtle. He can say, "I'm the democracy first candidate." But the electorate that he's trying to influence doesn't want their money spent on foreign wars. Neither does the mega base. And Trump's just doing it. I mean, you've seen the news today, the crazy ass shit that your president's coming out with, and just destroying a civilization. I mean, the Persian, just repulsive stuff. That also is just, he and Pistol Pete Hegseth just lighting a fire on the roof of their own houses that says "war criminal lives here." It's idiotic, but more than that, it's repulsive and insulting and un-American and anti-democratic and all of the bad things. Trump's just he's under tremendous strain. Probably he should tap out. We know that he won't willingly, because he doesn't admit fault for anything. A sign of a wonderful leader governed by humility, of course, Donald J. Trump. But this is this is DJ show. This is excuse me, JD's show today. But this is all about Vladimir Putin. And Vladimir Putin, again, seeing Donald Trump diminished and knowing that he needs to continue. Putin plans to be in power until the end of days, which for him he probably thinks is 100. Because he's in good health. He's the judo expert who's very fit. We wouldn't get news about any physical problems or infirmities because it's Russia. But Putin is, he's a long range planner. And if he sees his main asset in Donald Trump declining at the rate that he is, then he wants to shore up JD Vance as his next asset. Will he be successful? JD Vance was originally you would think, more of a Russia hawk. But money talks. And there's a lot of it. There's a lot of it for the Trump family, but how much of that is Trump would be smart for two reasons: to get the ill-begotten gains that he's been accumulating with his sons, to get a little bit in JD Vance's account on, for two reasons. One, that he can rope him in if there's any prosecution later, and make sure to put the hammer on him. But also so he's not doesn't have a wandering eye, that he stays loyal just to Trump. But you know, the ultimate decider is Vladimir Putin, and he'll tell you how it's going to run, and we'll get to watch it in Technicolor. So how fortunate we are that we have a corrupt president, watching a soon-to-be corrupt vice president groomed by the master groomer of all time, Vladimir Putin. And so there can be a seamless transition of power, and Vladimir gets all of the same accommodations that he's been getting for all these years since he joined up with Trump 2 years before his victory in 16. So Orban, prediction markets are all over the place. I am, because of the tremendous amount of assets that Putin has dedicated in country in Hungary, I'm going to say that he helps Orban make up the gap, make up the deficit, and win It'd be good to engineer a narrow victory, because then you don't, you're not going to trigger an investigation. Not if Vladimir's got his hand on his finger on the trigger. But it's plausible deniability. It's like the Venezuelan model, what Nicolas Maduro has been doing for all these years. Is the last one, he got shellacked, but otherwise he's kept it reasonably close, where you can say plausibly that, hey, yeah, it was free and fair. You can see it was close. It was they got some votes. We got a couple more. Just let it go. Jimmy Carter and you vote counters, you evil democracy first champions. So Vic. I'm going with Vic. I'm not betting any money on Vic. Better for democracy if Peter Magyar wins. Everybody can have some jam-filled pancakes, which are more like blintzes, which are more like crepes, but called pancakes. Palacsintak. Yes, and this is Putin's Palacsintak. So we're going to have, we're going to hope that Vladimir and Orban go home unhappy on Sunday. And it's a strange and wonderful world. So does Putin already has he been doing advanced work with Peter, the Peter Magyar, as he's been doing with the Vance family, including Usha? He's a pro, right? He would rather have 5 irons in the fire. He would rather have 5 irons in the fire than one, because it increases your odds. He plays the prediction markets. Voda knows what time it is. What time is it for Fat Victor? I don't know. It's probably dinner time with JD. So wish them all the happiness. Wish you all a great day. If the audio didn't work on this particular recording, then I'm shutting it down for the day, because I burnt an hour and a half earlier and wasn't pleased. But no grievance, not holding a grudge, not striking back, not looking back in anger. Not me. It's not what I do. That's your president. That's DJT. The grievance Grinch of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. That's the guy. And he's just spitting fire. And then we've got 8 p.m. tonight is supposed to be the deadline, unless they've changed it while I was running my mouth and getting frustrated with technological deficiencies that are entirely of my own making. My fault. I did it. Take the L. Mea culpa. Mea maxima culpa. Hope you have a beautiful day. Thank you for your time. And if there's sound on this, then kindly restack, retweet, share, subscribe, get a couple subscribers. I think I'm at one shy of 800 or so, whatever it is. It's only a number. Keep grinding, and wishing you an absolutely delightful remainder of your day. Get ready for Armageddon, 8 p.m. tonight. Set your clocks, and we will. And we'll all learn how many Hezbollah cells are in our particular communities. Excuse me. Thank you.